true. It's a group plan, what's it called, a cost-sharing plan.
Right.
Has its own trust, and what we pay in may go to pay retirement for other districts' employees. It's just, it's a pool of money, and we put it into it, but there's no piece of that we can say is ours.
All right, so we can't get out of the hole by ourselves unless all the other districts get out of the hole with us or investment returns improve.
Right.
Okay. All right, that is not welcome news, but clarity is always welcome. So thank you. Are there any other questions, comments? Okay, I think I need a motion to accept the comprehensive annual financial report. Mr. Hadaway moves, Ms. Horn seconds, all in favor? Okay, it is unanimously accepted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item, 6B, is approval of the 2016 legislative agenda, and we have one speaker on this item, Ms. Gay Adelmann. Ms. Adelmann?
You pronounced it right this time.
I'm working on it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gay Adelmann. I am a parent at the Academy at Shawnee, which is a priority school in the district. Every time I've spoken to the board, it's been to bring constructive and helpful feedback to light because attempts to have stakeholder input and concerns heard have been dismissed. Listening to the work sessions tonight and even interviews yesterday and today, it remains clear that that there is still a tendency to minimize feedback and concerns. You appear to have the perception that incidents that are brought to your attention are isolated. These are not new. These are not isolated. They are dynamic. They are systemic problems. Info only flows one way and stakeholders continue to not be heard. The existence of this dynamic and the number of people we encountered who felt the same way is why we started Dear JCPS. We started this group because the problems continue to escalate in the district, and we've heard from stakeholders who try to bring solutions, concerns, and ideas forward and are ignored or worse, treated as the enemy. It's frustrating when we see events that could have been mitigated if only this feedback had been considered, which brings me to the reason why I'm speaking tonight. I am concerned that the legislative agenda's goal to extend power to the superintendent for selection of principals in all schools, not just priority schools, further takes power away from stakeholders and takes them out of the decision-making process. The superintendent already leads the committee and has a vote. She says she needs this power in order to assign a principal who might not apply for the position. I ask, how has this additional power helped her with priority schools, which she already has power over? How does she not have the ability to do this collaboratively instead of in an authoritarian position? Why does she need final decision? I would like to encourage you to proceed with caution when taking any further stakeholder power away. As an example of a priority school where this power already exists, Dr. Hargens has chosen our last two principals, and I've watched more and more staff leave every year. Relationships matter. However, we have the highest staff turnover in the district. I can only count 8 people who were there from the time my son started there 3.5 years ago that are still in the building today. 8 people. We've had 16 or 17 teachers leave just this year alone. Stakeholder and SPDM feedback were solicited but not employed. We wanted consistency. That was our #1 concern. We had highly qualified internal candidates. Our principal was not named until the day before school started, and it was someone from the outside. I argue that a well-trained SPDM that is intimately familiar with schools' culture, population, needs, history, challenges, goals, and day-to-day happenings is more highly equipped to make better decisions at the local level than someone who oversees 171 schools that are all different and unique in their challenges. What worked elsewhere does not necessarily work here. We have bigger fish to fry before taking more power away from stakeholders. Let's work on improving the situations for the schools the superintendent already has power over before expanding that power district-wide. Leave the final decision at the school level where the accountability is held. Listen to teachers. They are the ones doing the work and know what we need. Give schools the ability to control their own destiny and not suffer consequences year after year from decisions they did not make. Keep the final decision at the school level because they are the ones directly responsible for serving the students, and they are the ones who ultimately pay the price. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Hargens, would you like to introduce the legislative agenda?
Yes, what we have is, and you have a hard copy of it from the work session, is the legislative agenda for 2016, so I'm going to let Mr. Lowe explain the pieces of it.
So the first item on the legislative agenda is to provide increased funding for elementary and secondary education, and it goes through a number of subcomponents of that. The change that was made based on input from the work session is to include a request for SEEK add-ons for students eligible for free and reduced price lunch. The second legislative item is to provide the JCBS superintendent greater authority to select principals, and this was language that was revised from the prior board work group, working to balance the wish to maintain a central role for school-based decision-making councils while also providing increased authority for the superintendent. The third item is about finding a sustainable solution for the KTRS and CERS unfunded liability. We just heard a discussion of that. That's going to be a key focus of the General Assembly in the 2016 regular session. And then finally, to develop and implement innovative assessment and accountability models. The goal here is to align with the discussion and conversation that is coming out of the Vision 2020 strategic plan to improve and reduce the amount of assessments that we do to capture both academic achievement and other indicators of student growth. On legislative policy positions, there were just a few changes that were made based on the input of the board in the work session. We removed the word public when discussing charter schools, but the guts, the key components of opposition to charter schools and the use of public funds for non-public schools remains. We clarified that the pension spiking issue it pertains specifically to the CERS pension system, and just so that people understand that. And then the balance remained the same: retain local control of the school calendar, making sure a school district can receive daily tax receipts instead of monthly. That's really making sure that our practice aligns with statute, and then permitting a Board of Education to meet in closed session to discuss the terms of a superintendent's contract. And that's what we have.
Okay, thank you. We had a work session on this. Any further discussion? If not, I'll take a motion. Anybody want to move to accept it, or raise their hand because they want to talk about it more? Okay, that's a motion. Okay, is there a second? Okay, Diane seconds. All in favor? Okay, opposed? Abstaining? Linda, did you vote in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. I didn't see it. Good. Next item is an information item on the National Assessment of Education Progress Trial Urban District Assessment, and we have one speaker on this item, Chris Harmer. Chris, thank you. You're also familiar with the rules, so take it away.
Superintendent Hargens and board members, good evening. My name is Chris Harmer. I represent the Ditch the Gap Coalition. As you know, we're urging that the board make an explicit commitment in the upcoming Vision 2020 meaningful reduction of learning gaps between so-called gap groups and advantaged non-gap students. Current draft still does not address that commitment, and we oppose its approval as drafted. However, that's not why I'm speaking tonight. Our second demand has always been that there be teeth in that commitment in the form of learning gap reduction targets that the board and public can understand and respond to if necessary. In the course of research and interviews about possible options for those metrics, we learned about the National Assessment of Educational Progress, known